Boots echoed briefly in the corridor outside. Someone coughed. The radiator clicked without warmth. Keller folded the pages carefully, smoothed the cover with his palm, and retied the string. The folder felt warm, almost alive. He hesitated, listening, fearing the papers would become another burden carried nowhere. Then he stood, coat brushing the chair, and lifted the folder, choosing movement over certainty, stepping toward a door that did not promise answers. That night, alone, uncertain still. March 1941, near the Reich Chancellery. Stale heat clung to a low briefing room where coats sagged on hooks and ashtrays overflowed. Ernst Keller stood by a long table, shoulders tight, stomach hollow, watching his brown folder rest unopened beside chipped porcelain cups. Men spoke first about fronts, fuel allotments, confidence. A clerk named Vogel poured coffee, the liquid thin, bitter, steaming. When the folder was finally untied, pages slid out with a dry whisper. Keller read numbers aloud: steel output, aircraft training, timelines stretching forward. His voice stayed even. He believed facts could slow momentum already racing. No one interrupted. No one argued. A senior officer cleared his throat, then pushed the folder back across the table. The string was retied, tighter than before. Rain ticked against the windows, patient, indifferent. Keller gathered the folder, its weight changed. He had expected relief after speaking. Instead, doubt settled heavily. He wondered whether the paper was warning enough, or merely proof that warnings, once spoken, could be quietly set aside. While the room returned to routine conversation around him, and coats were pulled on slowly without comment. June 1941. Hamburg docks at dawn. Fog hung low over the water, dampening sound, chilling skin, blurring cranes into shadows. Ernst Keller stepped off a night train, folder tucked under his arm, coat smelling of smoke. Dock worker Hans Miller shouted orders while ropes scraped metal and engines coughed awake. Keller walked past cargo nets and stacked crates, counting rhythm instead of figures. The brown folder pressed against his ribs as ships swallowed steel and timber. He had believed distance protected Germany. He feared distance might be misunderstood, mistaken for safety. A worker brushed past him, sleeve greasy, leaving a dark smear along the folder's edge. Keller stopped, looked down, then kept moving. The stain stayed. That evening, in a rented room above a bakery, he wiped the cover with a damp cloth. The grease lightened, but did not vanish. He retied the string, tighter, slower. The folder had traveled now. It smelled of salt and oil. It carried the world it described. He lay on the bed listening to gulls and engines, knowing this was not the moment they would remember forever, but something. December 1941. Berlin again. The city felt tighter, louder, radios murmuring in cafes and stairwells. Ernst Keller climbed stone steps, smelling of damp cabbage, the folder resting on a side table for days, dust softening its color. When he lifted it, the string had pressed a shallow groove into the paper. He did not need to read. The future had arrived without asking. His hair was grayer, eyes ringed, hands slower. He carried the folder down a narrow stairwell, boots echoing, passing a janitor named Frau Becker scrubbing floors with cold water. In an archive room, shelves crowded, he placed the folder among hundreds. The act was gentle, almost apologetic. He aligned it carefully, edges square. He believed someone else would open it later. He feared no one would remember why it mattered. As he turned away, the light clicked off behind him, leaving the paper waiting in quiet. Days passed as files accumulated. Keys turned, carts rolled, and Keller's steps faded, while the folder absorbed silence, becoming less warning than record. resting unchanged as winter pressed on outside the city, breathing uneasily nearby still. 1945. Berlin. The building stood damaged but upright. Plaster cracked, windows boarded. Sunlight drifted through dust like slow snow. The brown folder remained on its shelf, color faded, string brittle, grease stain faint but present. A clerk named Otto Weiss lifted it carefully, fingers rough, uniform worn thin. He flipped pages smelling of mildew and old ink. The numbers no longer warned. They confirmed. He closed the folder without comment and stamped a date on the cover. The sound, dull, final. Months passed. The folder moved deeper into storage, wrapped once in protective paper. Locks changed. Paint dried. Governments shifted. No one argued with it anymore. It grew lighter as context faded, heavier as history gathered around it. The stain stayed. The paper survived by doing nothing at all. Rats scratched in walls, boxes were stacked, unstacked, restacked. The folder waited through silence, through routine, through forgetting. Its string held. Its pages did not speak. Outside, Berlin rebuilt itself slowly. Inside, the folder rested, patient, unchanged, having already done the only thing it could do, waiting without complaint for time to catch up. 1980, a federal archive, climate-controlled and quiet. Ernst Keller, 73, moved slowly down an aisle beside an archivist named Lena Fischer. His coat hung loose, hands unsteady, breath shallow. He asked for one folder by description, not number. When it was placed on the table, he touched it first. The paper smelled clean, almost sterile. The grease stain was barely visible, but he found it immediately. He did not read. He nodded once. Lena watched, unsure. Keller retied the string exactly as before, fingers remembering the motion. He smiled, not with pride, but relief. The folder had not been lost. It had not needed him to be right. It had only needed to exist. It was returned to its box. The lid closed softly. Lena labeled it carefully and turned off the light. Outside, the weather was mild. The past felt distant but intact. The folder would likely never be opened again. Even when no one listens, bearing witness still matters. October 18, 1980, the Federal Archive in Bonn. Evening silence settled between shelves, cool air humming softly. A cardboard box rested on a steel cart, lid closed, containing the same brown folder. Archivist Lena Fischer pushed the cart, shoes whispering, fingers tired. She stopped, checked a label, and slid the box onto a shelf. The folder did not move. Its string stayed tied. Dust did not reach it here. Lights clicked off row by row. Outside, rain was mild, unhurried. Inside, history slept without ceremony. The folder would likely never be opened again. That was enough. It had warned, waited, endured being ignored without vanishing. Decisions are remembered as force, speeches, commands. Sometimes they are paper, string, and a person who carries truth to a table and leaves it there. It sat among ledgers and maps, unremarkable, patient, proving endurance can outlast urgency without noise or recognition from anyone at all here. Lena paused at the door, glanced back once, then turned the key. Because even unnoticed truth still matters. If you value quiet history like this, stay with us for more stories told carefully.